Great, thank you. So, welcome to Lunch and Learn. And this is part of what we're treating as a mini program. So, well done if you've joined this one as well as others that will follow. This is a slight change in tack. If you've joined the Get Savvy webinar before, we're looking at more of a focus on a learning bite over lunch, or indeed if you are elsewhere in the world, maybe breakfast or even dinner. The subject today is interactive learning and what's possible using AI, a very popular topic for us. My name is Matt Dunphy. I'm a lead consultant in learning and development with Get Savvy. As I say, I'm joined by the team here who will largely be supported today with responding to your questions. Before we get into the detail, on that note, if you want to find your keyboard and find your way to Q&A on Zoom, and please just briefly to warm us up, let us know your first name, the city you're joining from, or if you're in London, the part of the city, and in one word, what you want to get out of this session today. And hopefully, I anticipate a burst of activity. So as you're doing that, I will just see if I can spot some key highlights that you're mentioning before we start content. So if you look at that now, just an opportunity for you to interact with us and ask any questions you've got. And indeed, you're able to also comment on each other's questions or indeed upvote them if you find something you've seen very popular. So thank you, Will. You're in Surrey and you're in Carlisle. Lovely. I was literally talking about Cumbria and Kendal Mintgate a moment ago. And very good. You are the leaders in terms of sharing your commentary. Any others out there, just who you are and where you're joining from, or indeed what you might want to get out of this session before we begin? Understanding, Will, thank you. Yes, just some understanding maybe of what we're doing here and some detail around AI for learning and clarity. And you've mentioned Aaron, very good. Glasgow. Do you know what? We have serendipity here today. We were also just talking about Glasgow, Alan and I. So you are welcome. You're looking for insight. Very good. Elise Holloway, thank you. You're looking for ideas. We'll have plenty of those. And you're joining us from Worcestershire. I'm going to pause just because we'll get into things, but please do add your questions there or shout out from where you are today. And the team will certainly be responding as we go. So as I say, on the topic of interactive learning, we'll talk a little bit about the kind of broader purpose of the sessions today. So we cover many topics in our webinars, and what we want to do here is really focus on learning experience design, or LXD, as we term it. Lots of opportunities in the sector for using AI for learning experience design. These are very brief, fast-paced sessions that are demo-led or include walkthroughs. You'll see how quickly we'll get into things in a moment, but really designed for you to consume whilst you're on your lunch break, or even just as you're about to enter it. We want to give you some actions to take away. So at the end of the session, I'll let you know what's available. And then just to promise, beyond the demos, there is minimal content. It's not really a tell session, as I call it, not a lot of thought leadership here and no heavy sales pitch. And finally, we do hope that this webinar, whether you're in a membership organization or charity, is for learning and development professionals, L&D leaders. If you're from a different area, don't worry, there's plenty here for you as well. So, quite an impressive visual on screen. So what's the kind of aim of what we're looking at for interactive learning at the moment? Well, really, we want to support transforming static basic content, which we know can exist in various learning platforms, or indeed early stage concepts, ideas that are not yet fully developed, transforming those into dynamic interactive learning. So we term learning experiences, which is a broad base for what we cover here, whether that's courses, mini programs, or even just digitizing your assets. So it's really about transformation, as the impressive image indicates, and usually with transformation is a before moment and an after moment. So in these sessions, we'll look at what we've done and to really transform content, essentially, from one format into a much more exciting new one. So let's dive in. I think if we want to talk about the first demo today, it's actually using our own content at Get Savvy. And it's this concept of how you transform recorded material, which is from live webinars, masterclasses, workshops, even video content or interviews, into e-learning courses or learning experiences. So you're actually creating an interaction and more immersion in what you create from base content. For Get Savvy, we have a lot of these webinars that we have held. You may have joined some of those indeed last year. We were very aware that we wanted to create some follow-on value and activity around those. So the idea of converting them quite rapidly actually into learning experiences was our aim. It's proven very successful. So, you might have seen a session, you want to recap on it, the learning format is good for that. You may have missed a session and you really want to capture the key messages and themes. Again, a learning experience is much better than just sitting there and watching an hour of footage. So that's the before moment. What we're going to do is dive into the actual demo and after. But just to say, why is this important for nonprofits, membership organizations, associations, trade unions, or any charities? And well, we know a lot of this material exists. We know it's there for you to transform. And as I say, if I mention follow-on value, you get the value of holding it in the first place. And then there's lots of great ideas in the sector about actually recycling, reusing, repurposing this type of content. So I'm going to press go on the demo now. You'll see that arrive on screen. And then as I'm doing that, just to explain sort of what process we undertook, we took the actual recording for the webinar and the underlying slide deck, and we essentially uploaded that into an AI tool. And I'll show you as a headline what that offers you. It does convert it into a recognizable linear or non-linear e-learning course format. So that's almost taking the themes from the webinar and already translating those into the modules of your e-learning course. And we'll talk about generative AI around text, but it's given us a great summary of the course based on a transcript that also got created. So already the work is started for us to actually create the high-level version of the course. If I start to enter the course, what I'll do is show you some key features in this example and where AI shows up. So firstly, AI has helped to summarize our introduction into some key themes. So that's probably taking text we described up front in the webinar and converting that. And we'll also, with the transcript and with the use of text to voice,
you'll learn how to identify
using
hidden
audio.
costs and avoid
So we
overpaying
know
for
as
your
L&D
LMS.
professionals, we've got
How to
different
assess
learning
and lower your
styles.
support and
Some of us are
licensing
readers,
fees without
some of us
compromising
are
quality.
more hourly
How to shift
focused
your
in terms of
focus
how
and
we learn.
budget towards building
So that's a
valuable
key
content
feature,
for
and
your...
that's right up top in the webinar. You can see the branding and the content from the webinar is preserved. But again, we're also using video. This is a great way to, if you think about video interviews, vox pops, or sections of a webinar, we're able to actually edit and snip
Our
those down.
services do cover all types of
My
technology,
voice,
really. We have a real
and
focus on
replay
learning.
some of the live
So whether
sections
it's
of the webinar.
considering creating your first LMS,
I'll turn it off so there's only one voice, but you can see we're using an edited snippet. So again, AI is getting very good at
Hi,
allowing
Matt.
us to edit down.
Sorry to cut in, but I think there's a delay on the slide deck because I'm still seeing the slide with the piggy bank on it a few slides back. So you might want to unshare and reshare.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I don't know what that is, but that's classic demo territory. But I will absolutely reshare the volume now. Okay, I'm going to share my screen just so maybe it's better looking seeing it that way. Can you see that now? All good,
Yes,
Alan?
yes, I can. We've got the play button in the middle there.
Great,
so,
fantastic.
Yeah, okay.
Apologies for that, but let's recap. So up front, you saw the front page, very recognizable for a course. I was just covering the introduction, and here we've got the summarized intro, the text to voice feature here, which you certainly heard. And then as I was just describing, the use of video, edited video down. So let's keep going. A couple of other features. AI tools really good at creating gamification and quizzes. And that's either generating things like simple check your understandings from the transcript or the text of your course, but things like this, just flip cards. In this example, it's a description of our services, a really easy way to create interaction with your learners as you go through the course. Move on to other features there. Again, we have case studies throughout our webinars. Again, I won't play the video, but there's a way for you to actually resurface some of the description of a case study. And maybe this is a bit more commercially focused, thinking about things you're trying to promote as an organization. More flip cards here and just simple quiz check your understanding. So the important thing is AI tools are really developing these with much more ease, and they still operate as they would if you weren't using AI. They give you correct and incorrect answers. I'll move a little bit over to another section, because what I want to do is just show you some of the richness of the other features. So again, you've got video here. This is a section actually Alan led on hidden costs. But if you've got content heavy areas, we know tabbing is great. And again, this is a situation where AI might actually suggest this as a format for you. So you've got a lot of content here, very easy to consume using tabs. More quizzes here. I think if I swap over to another section, again, you see repeat and the consistency of things like video to check your understandings. This is a great feature. So in terms of more gamification, and this is kind of a sort exercise where I'm sure as professionals you've seen this before. So this is describing the various levels of our development services for content, and you're simply putting the answers, the cards, into the sections that actually apply. So you see, really simple to do. We've all been here before, but many of our courses in not-for-profit may lack some of these richer features, but they're becoming much more easy to add with AI tools. Again, just to mention concertinas, again, we all know for websites or relearning, content-heavy sections, we coped with well through concertinas. And I think just to come to a close, we have our own demo actually within this demo, but we have a summary here which AI has created with many of the features that you've seen throughout the course. And I won't run it, but there's a quiz here that for your purposes could be an assessment. And again, AI is really effective at using the content of the transcript you've already created to suggest or recommend quiz questions. Another thing that can be very laboursome is it provides a correct and incorrect response text. So for my purposes, I've always found that quite laboursome. AI is really giving support there. So in summary, and I'll move back to the deck, and this is a really effective use of AI tools alongside traditional e-learning tools to actually transform live recorded content. So I'll just do a quick check because we had the issue before. Alan, all good at seeing the deck here again?
Yes, it's come through. I'm looking at the slide with the piggy bank on it again.
Fantastic. So we're back here. So just to give a little more context about why this is important, let's talk about return on investment. And I think in various nonprofit organizations, there are different degrees of focus on value creation, return on investment. So let's just say this, if you're a membership body, we know that learning education is a key driver for most organizations, associations, even trade unions. So AI tools for e-learning and this approach to learning experience design is really allowing you to accelerate and enhance what you offer in that space. If you're joining us from a charity, somewhat similar, I know we get donors who want to donate to just read news, but there's always going to be educational content. There's certainly going to be videos and interviews, maybe if you're out in a region somewhere or supporting communities, that you can actually be more creative with and not only surface the video, but transform into an e-learning format. Just got a hand up on screen. I'd love for you to come on and talk to us, but maybe if you use the Q&A chat function, that would be amazing. And one of the team will certainly respond to you. Hopefully that's not issue-based and you've seen everything on screen still. A couple of other points about return on investment. So we do find in our experience with clients that some are more bold around paid for content. And of course, there's always this balance of what's free for a member versus where do you monetize or create paywall. And we do see value in both. A really rich free offering, which maybe e-learning comes into play. It takes you less time to offer a lot in that area. But certainly we've seen some really good choices being made about the premium content. I'd also say that applies to charities. If you've got some way to enhance donations, maybe you're using an interactive format to do that. Certainly bolder and creative if you are already there. And then the key point about all of this is genuinely hand on heart from our experience. This is much more rapid now in terms of transformation of content into higher quality formats. And it's also becoming more and more affordable in various different ways than, let's say, more traditional ways of creating learning experiences. Quick case study from us. As I said, we mentioned these a lot, but just to give you a snippet of where this has worked in practice, we've recently completed a project with the Royal Town Planning Institute. So they are a membership organisation of over 27,000 members. Key challenge for them was they were implementing a new learning platform, and we gave them some support actually around their strategy and choices around doing that. But they, as you would expect, had key content that they needed to preserve and transform it and deliver a new learning system. So you want continuity for your members. You don't want them to get lost, even though you've introduced new technology. So what did we do? We worked with them on what their flagship courses were, and also audited out anything they knew they wouldn't take over into the new platform. And using our services, we actually helped them transform good content in core courses into a much brighter design, incorporating their brand guidelines in the new platform. Success story, the Royal Town Planning Institute went live with this in December. They're actually expanding their launch with more communication out to their members around what's available. And indeed, they're starting to look at further courses, accelerating their learning experience design so that they can put more and more available on their new platform. So that's Royal Town Planning Institute, a lovely quote there from the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer at RTPI. Very grateful for support given. A little bit on our services, and just to kind of broaden out what we are doing in this space. Simple messaging on the top around what we call our value proposition. You know, we are taking static content or assets that are underutilized, and we are very rapidly transforming them into dynamic, immersive, interactive learning experiences. How are we doing that? As you've seen already, we take a heavy AI approach. There's so much value in knowing and understanding how to use the tools. So many features that AI is bringing in for learning. We have an India-based team, so very much cutting edge design services from that region. And obviously that's helping us keep our prices at affordable rates. We also offer fixed pricing ranges, so you don't see any creeping costs around anything we offer. Really simply, you know, this may feel recognizable in terms of approach. Our service is based on three key scenarios. One, you're transforming assets you already own. Two, as you've seen already today, you're looking at recorded material that you want to transform. And three, new ideas, something that you start from scratch on. We have three levels of development, and we have fixed pricing ranges at each of those. And just to say, a very recognizable approach. We start with an audit or a discovery with our clients in a very collaborative way. We then move to planning and prioritization. Next, we move to actual sprint development, creation of new courses or programs, and their release. And then we always insist on continuous improvement for our clients. So they don't stop, you know, they continue to think of new ideas and new transformations. So second demo, just do a quick time check, but as you sense, we're moving quite rapidly. So this is actually an example of taking a bright new idea and creating a whole new program of learning from it. So it's sort of category 3 or scenario 3 in what we cover. I'm sure you've got examples of this yourselves. Now, why is this important? We always, you know, describe the Netflix factor with learners. You know, if they're accessing your membership or even charity learning platforms or content platforms, they're eager for more and more all the time. So how do we take our newest ideas or priority feedback from our stakeholders and transform it into actual courses and programs? So we'll move through this. This is not an accident. This is where we started. So as a core team, we had decades of experience in project management in the not-for-profit sector. We had a lot of ideas about offering free education or actually structured paid for courses. And we knew the business change lifecycle very, very well. We just needed to create a flagship course, essentially. So that's the before moment for us. Moving into the demo then, this is how our platform looks. A couple of key features linked to AI I want to reference. Again, we're in standard e-learning format. This is a linear course, so you must move through each module towards a final assessment. But key here for AI, we made a strong choice to use avatars as AI tutors or trainers. We did a lot of work with software to actually create a whole suite of characters voices, accents, and good complement to our rich content and transcripts. And then something like this is a really good example. We created kind of a hero visual for our learner pathway. You could do that now using generative AI, giving it really good detailed prompts and actually working with Gen AI to create something you really like. Indeed, that's on your brand. Lots of features in our flagship course. Just for clarity, it's called Technology Change Projects for Business People. So one of those is actually creating scenario-based learning. And again, we use AI tutors here or AI avatars. We wanted to actually humanize the experience. It's not robots talking to you. It's recognizable characters from your organization that take different roles and projects. And again, we're using text to voice there, the AI visuals, and also just this approach scenarios to do that. Templates, really interesting topic. There's so many free templates out there, especially for project management. So there's almost like a cost benefit here for us. We created templates using Gen AI, and that's very easy to do as long as you, of course, feed it the right prompts and indeed refine and edit it and personalize it afterwards. Can't emphasize that enough. But there is sort of, how much effort do we spend here, given people can go and adapt these templates themselves or get others for free. So we offer a great suite of templates, but that's one way we economize during our development cycle.
What is the best way to make sure the process
Good
to select a supplier is fair and legal?
I think it's Trent from Australia.
There are some key things we
talking
can
to
do
us,
to make sure
and also I
everyone can
think
see the
Laura.
process is fair and equitable.
So look, two AI
We have to
tutors in
make sure
action. They're
the
delivering
rules
our
and
content.
criteria of the selection
Still
process
plenty of
are
interaction
made
on the
clear to
screen
all the
around
suppliers
tabs
in
and
the
tiles.
RFP
But
and
it's
also
just
to
a
our
real
internal selection
strong
team.
choice about how
All
we deliver
potential
training.
suppliers are treated
And
equally.
I'll move beyond
For
that just
instance,
so you can hear only me. But the other key point here is we love people speaking to camera in the training setting. It is a high price point. So this way it's much more economical. Again, gamification features, can't stress enough that you can kind of create these using the AI's response to your content or transcripts. And importantly, as I said before, you're getting suggested text for correct and incorrect answers and those kind of various routes that a learner can take, whether they're right first time or they need to do retakes. Moving to our final assessment, we are accredited for our course by the Institute of Leadership and Management and the International Association of Project Managers. We have credibility in what we offer. We went through that process. But you see the consistency of our leading avatar here, which as tutor, and some key messaging about the assessment. And then, of course, you can use the AI tool to create various different challenging multiple choice, open-ended, scenario-based, even gamification-based elements to your assessment. This is obviously the bit you really need to bring your learners through to make sure they've definitely retained what you've offered. Like all good courses, if I skip ahead, we do a result with some retake options so that people can get there and they feel like they're definitely qualified. And then another key thing for AI, we release a digital certificate, PDF. We choose different formats. People like that for qualification purposes or applying for a job. But more and more now, if you look at social cultural factors, people want a digital badge that they can share on social media or with friends. So again, AI can offer you opportunities for the design of these certificates and badges so that then you have easy options for sharing. So that's demo 2. And just to reiterate, that is an example of taking a brand new idea or a set of experts content, or it's in their heads or it's written down in some simple format and moving it through our process all the way through to dynamic, high quality, AI powered learning experience design. A little moment on our paid for service. Many of you may be working autonomously right now. If you really need help, as I stress, it's fixed pricing ranges, it's rapid, and we get results very quickly in what we do. And just 2 key things we can offer. If you want a 15-minute chat just about where you're at as an organization, we provide that for free. And also, if you want to send us an example of something you're grappling with that you want to redesign, we can give you a design estimate and a little insight on just how quickly and effectively that can be transformed. And back to kind of free offering and education. We're wrapping up the session now. You will get the copy of the recording. And in lunch and learn fashion, Please do share that with your teams. And they might need a little more context. You can invite them onto the next session, for example. But Lunch and Learns for me are you join it, you gain insight, you have some key takeaways, and then you share that with colleagues or even at home. And then just to say, then we will be actually loving your feedback. So I think Alan in a moment is going to share a very quick pulse survey. We won't share the results, but we'd love to know what you thought of today. And indeed, if you need contact about a current challenge or something you are developing yourselves. So Alan, I think if you put that up, I know we're approaching the end of the session, but we definitely love people's feedback on what we've covered today. And the other thing I would say is Alan does that is maybe just a shout out, Alan, how have we done on questions and interactions from the group?
We've had a lot of questions coming up around the content. Thank you. People are just starting to respond to the survey about the relevance. Thank you very much for that. And then we've had some really good questions about the multi-choice questions, how portable the course is in terms of different LMS systems. So obviously, this is a hands-on crowd who are engaged in conceptualizing and coming up with their own content. So that's really good to hear. One point it's worth making verbally then, just on the questions, while people are responding to the survey, is that yes, absolutely, all content that we create has to be portable across any LMS. So so they're portable in SCORM files and other formats. And then sometimes as well, we find that different LMS systems have particular features that it's good to take advantage of. So we'll do things particularly for that LMS as well. But at the minimum, it's always usable across all LMS systems in SCORM and other formats.
Exactly.
Great. So yes, please, Matt. Sorry.
No, thank you so much. Please do complete the survey if you're still sort of mulling over choices there. But yeah, I think to echo Alan, they must be portable. If we're talking to a learned audience, whether it's SCORM or XAPI, with the formats, we don't want to recreate from scratch. That's the benefit of some of the files that we create, including those gamification features.
Great. I'll just close the survey. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Beautiful assistant. So thank you so much. I know this has been whistle stop tour, but this is the kind of the essence of this. We want to offer some demos and some inspiration. And so just to move to what comes next, we have a general series of webinars coming up. And to give you a couple of examples, in those we cover things more broadly, like AI adoption in the sector, whether you're a membership organization or charity. We also cover a little bit more about changing platforms and learning strategy. So if you're shifting from one LXP or LMS to another, there's a lot of free, brilliant insight in there. And of course, please treat this as a mini program. We've got Lunch and Learns. If you go to our events page, you'll see where they are in the year. If you can spare 30 minutes and you want some more ideas this year, or as members said up front, some more clarity or some understanding, then definitely these sessions should be for you. And just as a key takeaway action, write down where you are, the one thing you will take back to your team from this webinar. You don't need to tell us, but I'm a big one for personal commitments at the end of these learning engagements. So just scribble down, write on screen, or really formulate in your mind the one thing that sticks right now and the one thing you're going to pay forward after today. That's it from us. We're on time. Hopefully felt like good pace, and hopefully felt through the Q&A that you were getting plenty of chances to talk to us and indeed vote or comment on each other's interactions. So thank you. This is interactive learning, what's possible with AI. Hopefully you'll feel like there's lots in there for you, and please do join us on the next session.